alien warriors stood paralyzed after seeing what Deathworlders Tradition. The Jarek warhost had faced horrors no other species would dare imagine. Across countless worlds, they had confronted predators with talons like scythes, weathered storms capable of stripping flesh from bone, and conquered civilizations whose inhabitants barely qualified as sentient. Yet nothing in their long history had prepared them for humans, Deathworlders. High Warlord Kashar reviewed the reports before launching the campaign. Deathworld 3 Earth, as the humans called it, was a notorious anomaly. Its ecosystems were lethal in every conceivable way: flora that burned on contact, fauna that hunted in perfect packs, pathogens that disintegrated immune systems. Logic dictated that no sapient species could survive such a crucible. Yet humanity had not only survived, they had thrived, stubbornly and ferociously. They are dangerous, Kashar warned his captains, but mortal. Steel and fire will break them, as it always does. The Jarek prepared for battle. The invasion commenced on the outskirts of a human settlement. The alien warriors advanced in their biometal carapaces, plasma lances ignited, banners unfurled beneath the blood-red dawn. Initial resistance was laughably primitive metal vehicles with slow-firing cannons, infantry wielding ballistic rifles. The Jarek swept through them like a tide of shadow, leaving fire and silence behind. By midday, the battlefield lay clear. Victory seemed assured. And then the humans arrived. Not as soldiers. Not as fighters. But as families. Men, women, and children emerged from the tree line, unarmed, carrying only ceremonial banners and wreaths of flowers. Kashar assumed it a futile ritual, some primitive mourning custom. The Jarek would observe, record, and move on. But the humans did not mourn. A man stepped forward, carrying a trumpet. He raised it to his lips. A sound poured forth, a low, resonant note, heavy with grief yet tinged with defiance. It wound through smoke and ash, reverberating into every Jarek warrior's chest. They froze. The sound bypassed armor, bypassed logic. It struck directly at the soul. Then came the voices. They sang. Not in harmony perfected by calculation, not in rhythm designed for efficiency. The song wavered, cracked, and soared. Men who had fought in the ruined cities of their world sang with throats raw from battle. Women lifted their voices, carrying the collective grief of centuries. Children joined, trembling, yet insistent. The melody twisted and climbed, reaching heights the Jarek had never heard or imagined. The warriors, veterans of countless campaigns, could not move. Music in Jarek culture was ritualistic and precise. This was alive. It commanded attention, stitched together sorrow and defiance into a weapon sharper than any plasma blade. The humans moved with it. They carried their dead from the battlefield, placing them upon the scorched earth with reverence. Flowers were laid into rigid hands. Wounds were washed and bound. Each motion was a ceremony, every step deliberate, sacred. Death was not an end, it was another battle, another contribution to the struggle. Kashar's own secondary hearts faltered in rhythm. The song swelled, recounting the hardships humans had endured: famine, plague, unending wars. It sang of ancestors who had survived impossible odds, and children who inherited that tenacity. And as the song reached its zenith, it transformed into a declaration. It was no longer mourning, it was a vow: we endure. We remember. We rise. The Jarek warhost, seasoned and merciless, could do nothing. Their instincts screamed to charge, to destroy, to assert dominance, but the ritual paralyzed them. These creatures had transformed grief into weaponized strength. To fight them now would be to fight the dead themselves, woven into the hearts of the living. Hours passed. The humans buried their fallen. A stone monument was raised, names etched into it, a testament not only to loss but to survival. A small girl pressed her hand against the stone, whispering a private vow, eyes shining with unshed tears. Then the humans faced the Jarek, not in fear, not in flight, but in resolve. Their eyes were wet, yet unbroken. Keshar realized the magnitude of what he was witnessing. These were no ordinary mortals. Their culture itself was a weapon, forged over millennia in the crucible of a lethal world. The war host withdrew. No orders were given, yet none dared remain. The silence of retreat was suffocating. Whispered reports filled the alien camp. The sound of human voices haunted them, echoing even in their dreams. Some awoke screaming, visions of ancestors demanding purpose haunting them. Keshar convened his captains. "We have faced predators, storms, and siege engines," he said. "Yet these humans, their dead fight with them. Strike one down, and 100 rise carrying his spirit. How do we fight such a thing, High Warlord?" One trembled. Keshar had no answer. Dawn revealed movement in the distance. Humans marched, not away, but toward the alien camp. They carried no advanced weaponry, only rifles, armor pieced together from scraps, and banners marked with names. Children walked among them, clutching stones, sacred tokens of memory and ritual. The man with the trumpet led them. He raised it, and the sound split the morning air, not mourning, but a call to arms. Humans roared in response, a sound so vast it seemed to shake the sky. The Jarek recoiled. They had never fled predators, storms, or war engines. Yet the sight of tradition weaponized against them, music, ritual, memory, was terrifying beyond measure. For the first time in Jarek history, a war host turned and abandoned a battlefield without striking a blow. The chronicles would later label the event an anomaly, an inexplicable retreat. Scholars debated whether it was psychological warfare, the strange effects of human music, or cultural resilience. Yet the warriors who had stood there required no explanation. They had witnessed a species that did not fear death. They had watched humans carry it, shape it, and hurl it back at those who would harm them. High Warlord Keshar recorded his final words. "They call themselves humans. I call them something else. Heirs of every hardship their cursed world has endured. They fight with memory as armor and grief as weapon. No force in the stars can break what binds them together. Let the galaxy remember this lesson. To face a Deathworlder is to face death itself and see life rise in defiance." The Jarek never returned to Earth. Across the Orion Arm, whispers spread, of alien warriors paralyzed by song, of Deathworlders who weaponize tradition, and of the chilling truth that some species are forged not merely by survival, but by resilience that defies comprehension. And somewhere, on the scorched plains of Earth, humans tended their dead, sang their songs, and prepared to rise again, stronger, undaunted, unstoppable. The galaxy had learned its first, and perhaps most vital lesson about humanity. Never underestimate the Deathworlders, for their strength is born of the dead, and their courage knows no end.